like those blankets. I don't know. Do you remember those like heated blankets? They would like catch on fire, but it's not until like the 80th one caught on fire that people would be like, oh, there's a problem here. No, but if there were reviews, people would know from day one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to D2C Growth Mode, a podcast by Miyamoto where you learn from D2C experts, tactics, and skills to master your growth journey. Our guest today is Jameela Ghann, a content marketing superstar with over 14 years of experience leading communications for various brands, including her own jewelry brand called Allura.ca. As the marketing manager at Farah AI, she's become an avid ambassador of how to leverage reviews to build trust and boost sales. So she's been known as well for engaging and high-value content creation, thrives on positioning products and telling genuine stories. Jameela, we had the chance to speak last year at an event, and I'm so excited to have more time to speak to you this time. And I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask. So thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I love hanging out with you. I love talking to you. So this is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. So we're going to start with like the coolest question, the one that I love to ask, which is, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? And how did that turn out?
So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a crime scene investigator because like CSI was really big. Yeah. And then in grade 6 in where I live, they always have this unit called evidence and investigation. So we used to like look at ridges on fingerprints and like do these little experiments and like all these like crime scene things. And it was so cool. I was like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And then as I got a little older, I wanted to be a marine biologist, which I think was a really popular career. Like amongst my friends.
I also wanted to be a marine biologist at a certain point.
I think everybody wanted to be one. So obviously that
Nemo, I think because of
probably,
Nemo.
Honestly,
remember when Nemo came out?
Save the fishes, save the manatees, and like the killer whales. Like they were all very popular. So yeah, that didn't quite work out, but but you know what? I realized that I didn't even want to do crime scene investigation because it was boring. Like the actual work itself is boring. And so is, I think, being a marine biologist. I don't think so. I feel like it's like being a vet. You think it's going to be cool, and then you have to like put down animals, and I don't want to do that. So I started my own business out of university, which was Allura, and now I'm here. So that's where I ended up. It didn't turn out how I wanted it to as my 11-year-old self.
Oh, but then that means that you're like what you desired kind of changed throughout the years, and then you're in the place that you wanted to be, but in a different.
I'm very happy. I don't think I would have been happy doing either of those things, but I'm very happy with what I'm doing right now. So marketing and being in the e-commerce space makes me happy.
Awesome. And is it because it's dynamic? What is it about it that it makes you so happy?
I think it's because you can still be creative and you can impact people's lives and like kind of help them with their dreams. Because I feel like entrepreneurs have these dreams that they want to achieve, or they have a certain way of life that they want to have. And then you can help facilitate that through helping them with their product, helping them sell more, teaching them things that they never knew before. A lot of people that I know want to start a business and they don't know where to begin. So giving them the basics and the foundations is life-changing. I mean, it's not like saving lives as a doctor, but it's still life-changing. You help people fulfill their dreams. So that's what I like about what I'm doing right now. It's you can see the growth in people, and you can see sometimes you like tell them something, they're like, whoa, I didn't know that. You're like, yeah, it's super easy. You just need the knowledge to do it. So that's what I really like about what I do now.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And you have actually worked in the jewelry industry for many years, so since college. And tell us a little bit about that, like starting a brand at that age. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, I feel like starting a brand at like a teenager is is a lot more freeing than I think starting it when you're a little bit older, because it is like climbing a mountain without a map. But if you do have the passion to carry out your vision, then you kind of have the tenacity and the time and the energy when you're younger to really make it happen. So we like started kind of making jewelry at our kitchen table with a lot of recycled materials. My family's from West Africa, so I have West African background, and really telling a story through jewelry was something that we wanted to do. All of the pieces that we created had meaning based in our roots. But like, obviously the journey wasn't easy. It was a lot of long nights, endless learning. But each challenge was kind of like a lesson. And I think it's easier to learn those lessons when you're younger. You're like, oh yeah, I know I learned this in university, but that's actually not how, how business is. So I just found that like building a brand, you kind of have the value of connecting with your audience, especially because you're young, you're out there, you're everywhere, you're networking, and you can really connect with your customer. So I think that starting a brand out of college, university is a good idea, because like you have so much time to fail, so you might as well try it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you don't really have like a family or like a lifestyle that you have
You're
to,
just there.
like kind of sustain. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
so it's not too
I
shabby.
agree.
It's like probably the best time to do something, or like, I don't know, just like go travel, do anything, start a business, like just try, because your life really is not over
Mhm.
until 28. I'm joking. It's not true. It's a joke.
When is your life over anyway? Come on,
You know what? When you die, that's
Jameela.
when your life's over. Until you die, you have a lot of
Yeah.
time to learn things and try new things. I think you just have to be willing to take that step and
Hmm.
like do something different. So it's never too late.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And maybe to risk some some comfort and getting out of your comfort zone
Exactly.
too, right?
Exactly.
And when I think of comfort zone, sometimes when you're being an entrepreneur, is literally comfort. A lot of times, like you're literally giving up on, like, I don't know, having that, knowing that you're going to get that paycheck every two
Yeah.
weeks, So that kind of comfort that also
Oh
comes
yeah.
with more
Oh
stability.
yeah.
And yeah,
Sometimes it would be like, oh my
cool.
gosh, like so and so brand, because we did a lot of wholesale. It'd be like, oh, so and so brand owes
Hmm.
us like thousands of dollars or whatever, and it's like, oh, we can't pay this bill until like they pay us. Honestly, accounts receivable is a freaking nightmare. So that's why I don't even deal with accounts receivable anymore. I'm like, you got to pay up front, and that's why I like e-commerce, honestly, because your customer pays up front and then you ship out the product. And I think that's why drop shipping has become so popular. It's not like before where you had to hold a lot of inventory and then go out and sell it. I mean, you could have still had pre-orders and stuff like that, but still you had to take a little bit more of the risk. Whereas I think now it's a little less risky to get into e-commerce, especially with drop shipping, which I think is great. I think is really good for a lot of people.
Yeah. Cool. Yes, that makes sense. And actually, one thing that I love about Allura is its brand positioning. So I actually went into like the website and checked that out. And let me quote a part of it. It says, "We don't believe in perfection. We believe in personal significance. Instead of hiding our flaws, we embrace them and make them central to our character." How beautiful is that? So I wonder what led you to come up with that, and if it was born like this from day one, or if it took like its imperfection kind of embracing shape over the years. How did that happen?
Well, honestly, okay, so our pieces are created from like recycled brass, recycled glass, and they're already imperfect to begin with. But for us, we were like, oh, how can we like refine it more? How can we do this? How can we do that? But our customers told us that they love the unique nature of our recycled pieces. And like we started making jewelry and we're like, the first tagline was like, designs as unique as you are. But we found that people do like the flaws. They do like seeing that things are still a little bit not rough around the edges, but they're just imperfect. And that's something that customers were drawn to us. And we realized like we can't be chasing perfection. We have to embrace who we are, our roots, how our jewelry looks, the handmade nature of our items, and embracing our own personal flaws, and knowing that not everything is going to be perfect, especially the first time, especially when you're running your business, was something that we started to embrace. And because we saw that our customers were embracing that from us. So we really were listening to our community, and we understood that those types of things resonated with our community. And I think that's why the positioning is so strong, because we listened to our customers and what they liked about our product. Like, I'll just give you an example. We were selling to a lot of stores, and like, we knew the meanings of all of our products because that's our culture. And like, we would communicate it to the buyers at these stores, and they were like, oh, like, this is amazing, we love this, but how come like you're not communicating this with like meeting cards and that kind of thing? So because of we listened to our customer, we started creating these meeting cards to go with the product, and that definitely helped sell the story, to help people understand the story and help people resonate with us. So, I mean, throughout this interview, I'm going to be talking a lot about listening to your customers, because like, that's where all the gold is. It's right there.
Okay, so I already have a follow-up question about that. So how do you listen to your customers? Like, what are the best ways to do that?
So the first way I would say is to talk to them. I mean, be like, hey, like, I have this. What do you think? Like, I'm working with somebody right now, and they're launching a new book, and their target market are in like Facebook groups. And I told them, because they're all virtual, I was like, you need to get into these groups, and you need to say like, hey, I have this thing, show them a sample of it, and be like, I'm looking for feedback. People will give you feedback. Like, people, I mean, some of it's not good. A lot of it's not good. But if you're talking to your actual target market, they will tell you what they like about it and what they don't like. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to look at the comments in your social media. You can always find really good comments there. And then also in your reviews. Your negative reviews, your positive reviews, you can find out what your customers are saying there. But like, just really talking to them. You don't have to talk to them in real life, but you can talk to them online. But talking to them in real life is useful, because you can kind of tell like how somebody feels about something and their initial reaction when you talk to them in real life. But that's not to say that it's impossible online. So yeah, just like actually talking to them.
I love that all of your examples are not like a formal research. So they're all like stuff that you can do like on the side. Yeah. Like, you know, like if you have a few spare minutes in your day, you can just go into like a forum and try to figure out what people are saying about a product.
Oh, for sure.
Or go and ask questions. Like,
yeah, one of the best places that I'll just let people know is like on your competitors, either their ads or their posts, checking to see what people are saying in the comments is like a gold mine for customer feedback. And if they're like one of your direct competitors, like, you can tell so many customer pain points just based on their comments. And you can find their ads anywhere in like Facebook Ad Center or TikTok Ad Center, like all of those places. It's not hard. So one really good way to find out what your customers are saying is to go to your competitors' ads or to go to one of their really popular posts and check the comments and see what people are raving about them or what they're complaining about. And that'll give you a lot of insight into where your customer is and what they like and what they don't like. And that's a really good way of social listening.
That's amazing. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. It's so simple, right? But it's sometimes we just like don't take the time to actually do that kind of thing. So I feel like we all need to live this session with like a checklist of simple things that we could do that would just be life-changing for our brands.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, we can talk about this a little later, but I'll just bring it up now. I would say that these days, it's so much easier to understand your customer journey and to like spy on them, and not because the customer journey is very convoluted, but people put so much online. Like when we were doing our customer research for Allura, like you'd be surprised the amount of information our target buyer would just leave online. You got a window into their entire lives, and it was just all there for you. You didn't need like a fancy market research company to get you that information. You could just do it yourself on Facebook. It was great.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. You can, I'll need that framework once you're done.
It's easy peasy. People are very loosey goosey about their online privacy.
So if you go on Facebook, would you go to like communities, like related communities, and check what they're posting about and how they're commenting on stuff? Like, where would you go?
So, okay, so for the example that I was talking about, it was a little bit earlier before people like even knew what online privacy was. But I would just like make a friend request and like see all of the groups that they liked, see all of the books that they liked, see what they were posting, go to their Instagram, see the kind of pictures they were taking with people, the kind of vacations they were going on. Like, this is why these tech companies have so much information on people, because if I can tell who you are by like 15 minutes of searching, it's like those Instagram girls who's like, they're better than or the TikTok girls who are like, they're better than the FBI. They can find this guy from his name and his occupation. You can just look online and see who they are. Even if there's somebody in the forum, you can send them a friend request, and then you can take a little look into who they are, what they do. Even something like Reddit, you can see all of their past posts, their past history. You can really get a good idea who these people are just by like clicking on the person who maybe responded to your message or interacted with a bunch of posts, and then see who they are from there. And it is creepy, but the information is there. It's not like they put their profile on private. I mean, my Instagram's private and my Facebook's private because I don't want people creeping on me. But it's very it's very easy.
So you're playing detective. So you're just not in criminal scenes. So that's why you're having fun in your career.
Exactly. And it's not nefarious or anything. I'm doing it to help, brands position themselves. It's not like I'm stealing people's information to try to influence elections or something. Just try to influence to buy stuff.
Right.
You're like,
right.
Sorry. Okay. I won't get political or anything. It's just, I'm not political.
Okay, I do have a question about other, like, now that you're a marketing consultant too, because you also work with other brands, right? You also have that opportunity to apply your own perspective as an artist, as a business owner, to help other brands find their voice. And we're just talking about your voice, like Alora's voice just before, about the imperfection and all of that. So I will wonder, what are some of the steps that you take to help brands discover and explore their unique voice? And one thing that I wanted to say about this is that a lot of times we do listen to our customers, but I feel like listening to customers is really relevant when we actually want to adjust our product or adjust our communication a little bit, or what we need to say about a product. But our voice has to be like unique and has to come from the inside in a way. I don't know. That's kind of how I see things. Yeah. What is your perspective?
No, I mean, I definitely agree that a brand's voice does have to come from within. You have to stand for something. There has to be a reason that you started this brand. There has to be a reason that you're selling this product or you're selling this service. And people are going to see if your brand voice is authentic or not. So you have to start and say, why do I believe in my product? Why do I want to be here? And who am I, or who are we as a company? And that's how you're going to start to develop your brand voice, because it's going to be easier for you to put out these materials, put out content, if you truly believe in your brand voice. So I would say, like, the first thing is to definitely do a deep dive into your brand history, your values, your current positioning, review any past marketing materials, anything that flopped, anything that did really well, that you personally like, is going to be important in laying the foundation for your brand voice. And then, of course, understanding what your customer resonates with, but your ideal customer is going to resonate with your brand voice. That's where we are in the world. I mean, you have to be authentic enough, because people can smell inauthentic people from a mile away. So you have to make sure that when you're doing your brand voice, you're like, yeah, this is actually who I am. Uncovering that unique essence, I guess you could say. So then when your like essence is kind of crystallized, then you can develop a comprehensive voice and messaging strategy. So your tone of voice. So are you professional? Are you serious? Are you funny? That kind of thing. Your key messaging pillars and how those are going to be kind of adapted across platforms. So again, being very true to who you are and being very authentic is going to help you at least like build a loyal and unique base. And then you can start to water it down as you become like a conglomerate or whatever. But in your beginning stages, you should be as true to your brand and your voice as possible. So that's what I tell people. That's what I honestly believe. The best,
Oh
even
my
like
gosh.
people like, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but even brands like Duolingo is killing it with their brand voice, and they're huge, but they're so unserious, right? Like, and that's their brand voice, and it resonates with a lot of people. Like, they're obviously not Rosetta Stone, but the people who stan Duolingo appreciate how unserious and funny they are, right? And that's their brand voice. So you will attract the right people if you stay true to who you are.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it. And one thing that I was thinking of is that we actually, this is, you know, how we study like the psychology behind decisions, like consumer behavior and all of that. But I feel like there is another part of psychology that is actually related to how, like, because I feel like this is so therapeutical. Like, how do you actually access that voice or that one thing that you stand for or that your product is, you know, stands for, without going really deep and being very honest to what you want out of it, you know? So I feel like there's a lot of like psychology involved in looking towards yourself, right, and not only like analyzing everyone outside.
No, that's true.
Right?
And I think that at least what I've experienced in my life when it comes to looking inside us to see what your brand voice is, what your personal brand is you have to look a little bit more long term. You have to say, like, where do I want my company to end up? Where do I want my life to end up? What are the things that I personally, what are my true values? And like for me, I prefer freedom. Like, that's the one thing. All of the decisions that I make are because my true value is freedom. But some people it's like status, some people it's security, some people it's like it can be anything. So I think you have to really sit down with yourself, and this is not an easy exercise, but you have to sit down with yourself and understand, what do you truly value in life? What do you truly care about, and what do you want your life to look like? And then you make the decisions to get there. And it's not easy, but at least you can say, like, I made all the right decisions that I could with the information that I had to get to where I wanted to be. And I don't regret anything. Like, I don't regret anything. I do some things and I blow people off, and I'm like, it's because I want to go here, and you might be going there, and I don't care. I'm not about that life. So I'm going this way. And it takes a while, and it might take some people a week. It might take some people a couple of months, but you do have to sit with yourself and say, what do I truly believe in? And I can't answer that for anybody. Only they can answer that for themselves.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And it is hard. It can be a process. It can be a long and it can be a short process. It depends on, on how like honest you can be with yourself.
Exactly. How open you are, how honest you are, how self-aware you are, all of those things.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. And how about like going the opposite way? Like, have you seen brands, have you worked with brands that are actually positioned in a way, but then when you actually start like going, like diving a little bit deeper into the brand, you realize that there is like some gold in it, like something else in there that you could also kind of use as like their unique value proposition? And how would you then lead them like to make that decision to go from wherever they are right now to this new space?
Right. So multi question. We might have to come back to some of the other questions. But when I encounter brands that position themselves as one thing, but really should be doing something else, happens a lot more often than you would think. I think a lot of founders and a lot of brands start with a certain image, and they think that they need to fit into a mold that isn't quite right, but they eventually find their calling along the way. I find this with a lot of like brands, like I don't know if you know what I mean by brands, but they're brands, but they look very much like everybody else. They're very, It's as if they just have the minimal branding. It's like black and white and like very thin font, and they're like, "Oh, this is what's trendy right now." So I'm
Mm.
just gonna be that.
Okay, I know some
Yeah,
of
and they
those.
have
Yeah.
no brand voice. They just like are. They're like, "We're the best mattress company," or "We're the best pen company," like the only pen you'll need, and they're not really saying anything. So that does happen.
Mm.
But when I encounter brands like that, my job is to kind of act like a mirror to reflect back on them what their potential is, and to ask them what do they truly want out of their brand, where do they want to go, how do they want to launch, and who are they speaking to. So I feel like when I ask them who they're speaking to, they're like, "Oh, everybody who needs a pen." It's like, no, okay, it's not everybody who needs a pen. It's people.
It's always like that.
Exactly,
Why did they do that? Oh my
exactly, right?
gosh.
Even not everybody wants. Not everybody even wants like Wendy's or whatever. Like there are so many fast food chains, and they're all for very different customers. So you have to decide who that customer is. Unless you have millions of dollars in marketing, then you can target everybody if you want to. But you still even have to be very specific. So anyway, my job when I deal with them is to really help them understand who their customer is. And I like to, especially with smaller brands, I like to say, like, who's already buying your product? Like, who are these people? These are the people who are ready to give you their money, right? And you have to really understand who they are, and then align your content with that, align your channel marketing with that, and really develop a strong brand voice. So I would say that it's a lot of hand holding, but like showing them like there's already a certain type of person who's buying your product. Who are they? And let's dig deeper into that. And if you don't want them to buy your product, that's fine. But then you need to move. You have to change your positioning. So that's what I usually tell people.
Nice. Thank you. And okay, so you also work a lot with content strategy. And whenever we think of content strategy, or at least for me, I think of the funnel, or I think of the flywheel, I think of one of those frameworks. So my question to you is, did they still work? Is there a new type of framework that we should be using? So what is it that you tend to use?
Yeah, so I would say that the frameworks, I mean the content flywheel definitely still works. The customer journey is like this. I mean it's not linear. It's not a wheel either, but there are still certain basic principles for the content. Some people are in discovery mode, some people are ready to buy, some people just like are looking to explore new things. So I would say that the basics are still there. Like, where are people in their buying journey? The customer journey, the buying journey typically doesn't. And I mean, there are certain points of the buying journey where you might be stronger at. So, for example, if people are already looking, they know they have a problem and they're like, I need something that automatically schedules my calendar. Then, like, they're like, calendar auto scheduler in Google, or like they ask ChatGPT or they check on TikTok, then like you definitely want to show up there. But then that kind of comes back to creating a consistent narrative that speaks to your audience at the right time and in the right place. So again, it's your unique selling proposition, your brand voice, your tagline. Who is the audience and what do they care about? So for something like Notion or something like that, the customer, well, depending on, I mean, you use Notion, but depending on the customer, like all of the people that I see who use Notion and who like love Notion are women who are in business, who want a beautiful place to keep all their notes and to keep their schedules and to keep these like product documents. Some of the oh my goodness, some of the like men that I see who have like products who like have notes apps, like they're not like Notion, they're not beautiful like Notion. And I think that's like something that Notion does really well in talking to their customer and like to creating a community of people who create these beautiful templates. Like, these templates are stunning. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. Notion is beautiful. So like, who are these people? Where are they in their journey? And like, what is their pain point? Like, my pain point is like, I just need to stay organized. Like, I'm scattered everywhere, but I want things to look pretty. Like, I want it to be aesthetic, right? So these people care about aesthetics. They care about the way their room looks. They care about their digital planning landscape. Like they care about all these things. So creating content that really resonates with that, I think is a good example for how you really structure your content and get your right messaging to the right person at the right time and understanding your customer. So then, I mean, so yeah, you have to map your customer journey, and then you have to have your content pillars and your content themes, right? So based on your brand voice and based on your understanding of your audience, you think about what they care about. And those pillars kind of serve a foundation for all of your content creation, and it'll be consistent. It'll help you be consistent. It'll help you be relevant, and it'll help tie into the brand's value proposition. So like one thing that I like to do, I don't know if I have my paper here, but one thing that I really like to do is for pillars of content, saying like what the tagline or what the theme is, like what is the person who's consuming this content going to get out of it? So you have your customer, and then you say, what are the 3 or 4 things that this customer cares about? Sometimes it might not be exactly about your product, but for example, it might be like they care about productivity, or they care about getting a promotion at work, or they care about being seen as a leader, right? So then you kind of create this content around what they care about as your content pillar. And again, that ties into your value proposition. So it could be a blog, it could be a video, it could be a podcast, right? As long as it aligns with what your customer wants and your brand positioning, it's a pretty solid content pillar. And then I tell people they should only focus on a couple of things, like a main channel. So your blog, right? Or it could be a podcast. So like something that's like long form, that is very, very kind of time intensive. And then you can focus on 1 or 2 other platforms. So one might be TikTok, or it could be Instagram, or it could be Facebook, but just choose one. You only need to be like really good at one social media platform when you're beginning. And then the other thing is email. So like you can have a really strong piece of content, you repurpose that for social, whatever social your customer is on. And then you really connect with the people who actually like you through email. That's like where you kind of need to be, because I don't care what anybody says, email is not dead. It's actually more important than ever now that it's a cookieless world. Google Analytics 4 sucks. Like all of these things are garbage for tracking your customer. So one of the best ways to connect with them is through email. But you have to have something that's going to attract them. You have to have something to say. So basically, it's like a big, nice piece of content. You repurpose that for what your audience cares about. You connect with them through email, and then you kind of like measure and adapt. And that's typically what I tell people to do. And it's very manageable, even if you're a small team. Doing something like that is it's like super manageable. So as long as you focus on one thing. But that's kind of how I help people approach content. So yeah. It's easy to do as long as you have like a framework. And I have lots of notes in Notion. I love Notion.
Oh God. Yeah. Yes. We're Notion team. 100%.
Exactly.
How would it be like so there's Swifties. What do it be for Notion? Noshties. How would I say that?
Noties? I don't know.
Notioners.
Oh, I like Notioners. Or Notionites.
Notioners. Okay, they should definitely use that. So. I feel like Notion though is like a more serious kind of brand in a way. I don't know. Like I feel like it's a very definitely like the aesthetics is something important, but it's also like a serious. I don't know. Like how do you feel it? Like how do you connect with it?
So I did go to see, I think it was like the CMO or something of Notion, or the community leader at this like marketing event a couple years ago. And they said that like their main, at least this is what the person said, okay? I can't say the whole of Notion. This is what this one Notion person said. They were saying that the reason that they're so successful is because they built such a great community of people who walk through Notion, who create templates, who have like these Notion meetups. And so that's how I see them. I see them as more of a community base. Of course, they do a lot of enterprise and they have a free plan. But I would say that Notion still doesn't feel super corporate. They feel very like I think their operations are corporate, definitely, but I feel like their brand is a little more not playful, but it's a little bit more relatable. It's a little more lighthearted. You can even see with like their animations that
Yes.
they're like black and white, but the people just feel a little bit light, right? They feel like they're a little bit dynamic. So that's how I see Notion. And then all of my personal touch points with Notion have been like small business owners or even students who are like, this is how I organize my day, or like the aesthetic videos on TikTok, and they're like, plan my year with me in Notion or whatever. So that's how I find Notion. And I mean, other people's touch points might be different, but for me and this target market, that's how they're connecting with me, right? So again, if you're a larger company, you can definitely connect with different segments of your audience in different ways. And I'm sure they have like enterprise sales. But I'm just talking about it from my own personal perspective. And the people who I know that use Motion are very much like me. They're like, I need it to be pretty, and I love my plants, and I love my little figurines, and like that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I've seen.
Cool. Yes, I gotta agree with that. That's how I see it too. It's interesting that you mentioned like community as kind of like a marketing strategy, and well, Farah is very focused on reviews, and I feel like that those are kind of connected as well, because the bigger the community, the more reviews you kind of get, the better reviews you get, and more feedback you get too. And I love that Farah is actually focused on reviews, because reviews really do change things. And I honestly don't make any purchases, big or small, without reading like 1,000 reviews or all the reviews there are. Like a lot of times I see myself in like the 10th page of reviews, like reading them all, because I want to make sure that I'm going to like this, you know. Sure. And there's always someone who's tried this before me. I don't want to risk having to send this back, or, you know, like all of that. I want to like this product. So yes, and I love reviews because of that. I wanted to hear about you, like about maybe a story of how reviews impacted sales to maybe a brand or a business you've worked with.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Reviews are important. And I just also want to say, like, for 90% of American customers, reviews are one of the most crucial points of the purchasing decision. So you are not alone, okay? Almost everybody is looking at reviews, and like 72% of people won't take any action until they read reviews about a business. So you are definitely a normal person in scouring the reviews.
Oh, and I gotta say, because a lot of times when I'm reading reviews, people are saying like, you know, I almost didn't purchase this because there were no reviews, but you know,
no, I skip over things.
So they're like, reviews. I didn't want to risk.
I'm like, I'm not.
Right. So the first reviews are always like, you know, like you're gonna like it, but you know, I don't know. Like they always mention the fact that they felt like it was a risk, but that they took the risk because there were no reviews. So you definitely want to kind of like cut the risk out of the decision journey.
Exactly.
Right?
Especially when buying online, people are more comfortable with it, but reviews definitely do help. And when it comes to reviews and impacting sales, I actually have my own personal experience with that. So, we sold, we still sell it. We sell a stud earring set, which was created because we listened to our customers. We used to sell like individual earrings, and then we would run some ads for them. And they'd be like, ooh, does this come in a set? And we're like, oh, we're going to launch a set, right? So those are the comments under the ad. So we launched this set, and it had like no reviews, obviously. So as we started getting, like, we had, I think, like 3 reviews or something. So once we had 3 reviews, I started running ads to that page, and we sold 10 times as many of the earrings than when we didn't have any reviews. Yeah, it was like a struggle to get those first ones. But then once you get the reviews, people are like, oh, it's so easy to buy. And it's like we sold 10 times as many. It was like, wow, just putting reviews on there. And like at this point, like I had just started working at Farah, and I was like, wow, I'm going to do this. Right. So I'm like, this is the best app ever. So that's why I love Farah so much, because it's helped me. It's helped my own business. And like the way that you can show reviews on your site, because obviously I prefer an aesthetic looking widget on my site, and Farah has like so many beautiful review widgets. There's like the elegant theme, and then we have the masonry theme, so like it fits in the brand, and that's what I like about it. It not only does it increase sales, but it makes my site look good. Like it looks good. So, and that's the thing about Farah.
And legit.
Exactly. You look legitimate.
Yes.
You look like a normal business that's like not going to scam you. These things like these trust signals, it's not just reviews. It's also, do you have a contact us page? Do you have social? Do you have an about us page? All these like little things are little trust signals that people really care about when they're checking out. So having as many trust signals on your site as possible is going to be really important. So that's something I want people to take away. Build trust signals into your website, and that will improve your conversion rate.
Okay, I want to share something that just came to my mind. So would reviews be like when you go into a store and there's people inside it, like trying on things, like, you know, that kind of sign, like signal that you're not alone, kind of like looking for this, and it's
the social proof.
It actually helps people. Yeah, it is, right? It's so because we also, so another thing that we have here in our place. So my partner and I, we're like review lovers. So that's one thing. It takes forever for us to make a decision. The second thing is we hate brick and mortar kind of stores because that gives us a lot of anxiety, like just having to choose something in a store without reading the reviews, without being able to put it like side by side with all the other options that there are online. And, you know, just it's just really hard to compare products. Like, how did people compare products without reviews in the past?
They just suffered.
Oh my goodness. We just made really horrible decisions back then. That's
why
it.
You had like those blankets. I don't know. Do you remember those like heated blankets? They would like catch on fire, but it's not until like the 80th one caught on fire that people would be like, "Oh, there's a problem here." No, but if there were reviews, people would know from day one. It was a dangerous product. I think the consumer is a lot better off with reviews now.
And I feel like that gives it like new brands a huge advantage, because back then another thing that would help people make decisions is like the brand and how much trust that was built around that brand. So that's one thing, right? So people would buy like a certain brand of pans and pots because their grandparents had the same brand or something like that. And then now like a new brand, new pans and pots kind of, I don't know, like brand can just come up and blow up on TikTok because people are talking about it, or people are like writing reviews nonstop and watching and like, I don't know, creating videos out of it. So.
Yeah, honestly, that's like a huge thing. User-generated content is a huge thing. And I think that that is why a lot of new brands are successful, because they can get their message out there and have it be amplified by people who are creating user-generated content. So yeah, new brands have it good. Like people who are starting businesses now definitely have it really good. They have it really easy. They have access to market. I mean, it is a lot more saturated than it was before, but I think it's, if you have a good idea and you have tenacity and you like are willing to learn and make it happen, then you can still succeed. I think it's probably easier than ever to even just try and fail and then try something again later. So it's really nice because it's not like you had to like work at it for 5 years or whatever. Now you could be like, okay, I did it for like 18 months or I did it for 2 years and I like followed the best practices and it didn't work out. So now I'm pivoting to something else. So I think that is really good. But
okay, now I want to know, what is the future of reviews? So let me think of like reviews in the beginning. That would be like more like just text reviews. Now for me, like I love seeing pictures. I love that Amazon has the videos going on, so I have an idea of like what that actually looks like. And what is the future of it?
So I feel like the future of reviews, and in relation to in-store experiences, I personally believe that a lot of augmented reality and AR technology is going to be a lot more prominent. So like imagine pointing your smartphone at a product in the store and seeing like a pop-up display of its ratings or reviews from other customers. I mean, we already have like photo search. Not a lot of people use it, but photo search is a big deal in like Google or even on like AliExpress or Alibaba. Those kinds of things I think are going to be a lot more prominent going forward. But I also think that social proof is going to become even more crucial with brands showcasing their really good reviews or their unboxing product videos everywhere that they can. And again, what I think the future of reviews are a lot of user-generated content. And gifting very micro or small influencers products and getting their true and honest opinion about it, I think is going to be important. But also with that in mind, transparency and trust. There are a lot of laws that have come out and are like you can't do this with reviews, or you can't collect them this way, or you can't, do that, or you have to say if you incentivize this review. And I think that's a good thing. But I think that this is going to lead to more of a detailed reviewer profile. Verification of purchase, I think, is going to be super, super important for almost all reviews going forward. I mean, we do that with Farah. We show if it's a verified buyer or not. And I think that that's going to be really important, trying to keep that trust there with reviews, and showing the authenticity of reviews is going to be super important, especially now with AI, where like anything can be fake. And I don't want to see a world where people are reality indifferent. They're like, maybe real, may not be real, but I don't know and I don't care. Like, I don't want that. I think making sure that we're as transparent and trustworthy as possible with reviews is going to be super important. And I think review platforms like Farah are definitely going to evolve with that and help the end user, the customer, understand that the reviews that you see are trustworthy reviews. So I think that's really important. And I think that I also want to mention that there are some platforms out there that will allow people to delete bad reviews or like make up their own reviews. And you just have to make sure that you find a platform that is trustworthy and that they put transparency, privacy, and trust at the forefront of what they do. So that's where I see reviews going. And I think that they are going to become a little bit more important in a post-reality world. Let's call it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that gives me the chills. I mean,
well, it's happening. Happening. It's like, is this real? Is this not real? Sometimes you can't tell, or like you have to do a Have you seen those like crochet patterns that people will post online? Okay, so there's this like trend that's going on, and it's these crochet patterns, and they'll post them just like online, and people will be like, oh, I want this crochet, or somebody will bring it to somebody that they know crochets and be like, can you make this for me? And the people will be like, no, this is humanly impossible to make because AI made up this crochet pattern. They're like, this isn't real. But people will take the thing and say, oh, I tried to make it and I couldn't because a human didn't make it. Or they'll come and say, can you commission this for me? It's like, this is impossible. So like these kinds of things are already happening. And some people just like, they just don't know. Like you have to count the fingers, check the spelling, look at how many objects there are to see if this thing is real. And even then, it's very difficult to see if it's real or not. So yeah, we have to be very careful. If that's one thing people get from this, be careful, okay? And become AI literate. That's what you need to do.
Oh my gosh. I just... our anxiety. I mean, how are you going to deal with that?
You know what? Honestly, I personally believe like everything's going to go back to like in person. People are going to be like, I got to see you in real life to verify if this is true. And we're just going to come full circle.
You might not even be real.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean,
totally.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But at least I tell my kids, I'm like, and when they're online, I'm like, that's probably fake, right? I'm like, that's probably a filter. Just so they question everything. And honestly, my 8-year-old is always like, oh, that's a scam or that's fake. I'm like, good. You should think it's a scam. Ooh. Yeah, you got to teach them, man. Otherwise, they'll get hoodwinked by technology. You don't want that.
And they will teach you back because they'll probably learn more and be better at it than any of us.
Definitely. So I'm going to be like, please teach me all these things.
Yes, at a certain point. Yeah. Okay, and I bet every brand that you work with has its own marketing challenges and all that, but I feel like there might be a lot of patterns that you can see that throughout like different brands. Are there like things that you have tried with like a variety of brands and have worked for all of them or for most of them that you can maybe share with our audience today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some universal truths and when it comes to what works for customers and or what works for brands in them creating a really good experience. And I would say the first thing, and I know I've already harped on this, but one of the most important things that works for every brand is truly understanding your customer, understanding what they want, understanding what you stand for and how you deliver your product a lot better than anybody else. So I would say like that is probably the most important thing that brands can do, but also connecting with their customers on the platform that works for them. Again, this goes back to understanding your audience, right? Like these are marketing things that are so basic, but the reason that they're basic is because they work, right? Like some ads might not work for you, and some ads might work for you on different platforms. But if you truly understand where your customer is, what they want, and really just how to connect with them, then that's going to be something that works. But I personally find that like, because I do a lot of content marketing, but I find that content marketing works really well, really creating pieces of content that people want to consume, because people still want to be entertained. They still want to learn things. They're still on the internet. So this could be educational. This could be how-to videos, insightful podcasts like what we're doing right now, as long as it meets the audience needs. And then like engaging with people on social media, building that community it always works. Connecting with your customer in that way. So maintaining really an active and authentic presence is important. And then regularly posting on the one channel that you decided that you're going to be on, and utilizing all of the things on that channel. So if you're on something like Instagram or TikTok, really utilizing their stories, polls, going live, that kind of thing, engaging with your customer where they want you to meet them is really important. And then finally, email marketing. Email marketing works for every business. I don't care what anybody says. It works for every business. Even if you're an enterprise, you're still emailing your customers. So email marketing is definitely super effective for direct engagement with customers, personalizing your emails, creating segments that are kind of natural to the specific messages that you're making, is very, very important, I would say, for your marketing. And it works across almost all brands. So content marketing is important. Social media engagement is important, and email marketing are kind of the core things that work for almost all brands. But in saying that, you have to know your customer and what they want and when they want it. And that's important for everybody.
Yes. Otherwise, you would just attract people that are not really. And
exactly.
Yeah. Like, perfect. That makes a lot of sense. And so we just talked about the things that you can do to get your brand out there, to grow your business. But what are the challenges in that journey while you're building that? Like, what is like maybe the one most like frequent challenge that you face with your customers?
I would say that staying up to date with the trends and what people want. Like, okay, so I would say like the most challenging thing is understanding what the consumer is doing, right? Because consumers have even like in my lifetime, people have shifted from television to their to the internet, to desktop, to now their phones. So we're seeing like not a change in like what kind of people want, but how they're consuming it, how they're consuming their content. So really staying up to date with changing algorithms, changing trends. It's always ever evolving. So you have to understand what social media strategies are working, what are SEO best practices, how you have to kind of adapt to different types of SEO. So now there's TikTok SEO. There's like creating content for something like Perplexity to pick you up, right? Like all of these different things. It's not just Google anymore. And any emerging platforms, and understanding where your marketing fits in there, it can be overwhelming. So that's one thing that I find is a challenge. And then I would say balancing quality content with scalability is another really, really hard thing. And I think anybody in marketing can understand that. There's always the challenge of creating a lot of content, especially if your KPIs are like, how many posts did you produce? How many impressions did you get? And balancing that with is it quality and is it something that people care about? Because I think that it's more important to it's better to post like one thing a week that's very high quality and that people really resonate with than like 14 pieces that are trash. So it's like you don't have to scale if it's not going to be good. So leveraging tools like content management systems or scheduling tools to streamline the process is really important. But also having like a mix of evergreen content that can be repurposed is super useful as well. I even like with Farah, we repurpose a lot of content from the year before, like things that are still relevant, but they just need a refresh, right? And I think one thing that people forget is like, even though you're sick of hearing what you're saying, it's like your customer's second time hearing it. They might didn't hear you the first 34 times. So you only when you're sick of it is when your customer is going to start hearing you. So yeah, those are the two things that I would say. Keeping up with trends and
I love that you said that. Oh my gosh, because I feel like that so often. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't hear about email marketing ever again, you know, or whatever I'm working on. It's just it is because you kind of like it's too much. You're like in that 24/7 kind of in that universe. But then for them, a lot of things are happening, and they kind of need to be reminded of like even really basic stuff that I don't know, when you've gone through so many times before, but you know, for them it's still relevant.
Yeah, because they're busy. Yes. And honestly, the thing is like your customer really, they don't care, okay? They don't care about you. They don't care about what you're doing. They care about how you're going to help them when they need you to help them. So like you have to show up at the right time when they need you, because otherwise they don't care. Like you could be like, oh, we're doing this, we're going to do that. They're like, I don't care. How's it going to help me? Oh, okay, now I'm ready. Like after the 14th time. Yeah, now I'm ready. So that is... it's difficult, but you have to persevere, even if you're sick of it.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my, Jameela, we've been speaking for so long now. Again, I love that. It was so good. I had so many questions. I just had to skip some of them because it was just, we need to finish this at a certain point. But I do have like some final quick questions that I want to ask. So one of them is, if you could design a beautiful mural in a location that you love, in a city that you love, that would inspire people that go past, what would it say?
So I have this like sticker that I keep on my desk. It says everything is possible. So that's what my mural would say. It would say everything is possible, to really show people that they can achieve almost everything. Everything is possible, okay? It's within the realm of possibility, if you can think about it. So I think that people have a lot of limiting beliefs that it's not possible, I can't do it. And maybe you can't do it, honestly, and that's okay, but at least you tried, all right? And you can go to your grave and say, like, I did my best and I tried to make this a possibility. And I failed, but you know what? I stepped up and I feel good about it. So I feel like it's a universal truth and a powerful reminder that despite the obstacles that we face, there's potential for achievement and there's potential for growth, and there is a transformation that can, you know, lie within us. And I think that even if you doubt yourself, you should know that everything is possible. So that's the mural I would want to see.
Oh, you're so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. I love it.
It's my little companion. So
I love it. And I feel like that also kind of is so encouraging as well, because a lot of times, you know, if we don't believe in ourselves or we don't believe in the results that we're looking for, it's really hard to like take that first step, because first steps are really hard.
Oh, for sure.
And second steps are hard too. And the 10th step is still hard, right? A lot of times.
Always hard.
Yeah.
Once you level up, you're like, it's like playing any game. Like it's hard to like learn the controls and then get to the first level. And then like, but once you're at level 30, like it takes so long to get to level 31. You need like 100 times more experience points than you did at level 2 to 3. So yeah, it's not easy, but it's okay. It's worth it. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Yeah.
Awesome. And what if you had unlimited budget to help a brand new product kind of grow in the digital space, what would you do? Like, what would be the first thing that you would do with that budget? And what would be the last thing that you would do?
So the first thing that I would do before like spending any money on marketing would be to research the customer journey, spy super hard on my customer, really develop a good brand, a good positioning, and understand my customers' needs, desires, their pain points, really, and an offer that would truly resonate with them. So I would build like a super solid offer and understand their pain points and where they spend their time online, offline. And that's the first thing that I would do. Focus on the brand, focus on the customer and how we're going to like mesh together. So that's the first thing that I would do if I had a huge budget. And then the last thing that I would do is I would really invest in building a community and a legacy around the brand. If I had all that money, I would invest in community leaders. I would invest in creators making content around our product. I would invest in like even in real life events, I would invest in that. Like I would make people stands, like give them an experience that they feel like they have a parasocial relationship with my brand. And that's what I want. Those are the first two things I would do. Understand my customer, invest in the brand, and then create like a very, very close-knit, loyal community, exclusive events, online forums, loyalty programs. That's the kind of thing that I would do. I want people to be foaming at the mouth for my brand. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And how about, okay, well, last question. So is there like a book you like recommending to people?
Yes. So I personally love The Alchemist. It's a book that I often recommend. It's not really about marketing or anything like that, but it's a narrative that's kind of timeless and it has elements of adventure, philosophy, spirituality, and it's beautiful and simple, like super easy to read, but it's impactful. And it kind of follows this like kids' dreams and it touches on the interconnectedness of all things, the importance of following your dreams. And it resonates with honestly anyone, anywhere, at any point in their life. And it's also a good reread. And I like it because it has an inspirational message. Again, it's a catalyst for self-reflection, like what we were talking about before. When you read the book, I think you are forced to reflect on yourself, your journey, kind of the signs that you've seen. Are you taking the opportunities that you need to take? And I think it does help people understand what their values are and where they want to go in life. So I think it kind of invites introspection and self-discovery. And that's why I recommend it to everybody.
This is crazy because the first episode of this podcast that I recorded was with 𝐀𝐿. She also recommended The Alchemist.
It's a great book.
And she was like, yeah, she's so passionate about it too. It is. I need to connect you too. I think you'd be great friends.
I think so. It's like, it's so beautiful. And it's so easy to read, right? You can just like read it in a day and then be like,
yeah, it's funny though because it's by Paulo Coelho, right? And he's Brazilian. I'm Brazilian.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people know about this book,
yes.
But I haven't read that one. Like I've read a few others of him, but yes, I haven't read that one. And I actually started reading it, and I mentioned this to 𝐀𝐿, but then at a certain point, I was just like, oh my gosh! And it's a very simple language. And I feel like I should read it in another language because when I read it in Portuguese, it's just like...
well, it's just as simple in English.
It doesn't feel like literature.
Honestly, it's just as simple in English. But like, I like the message. And I like that I can give it to somebody who doesn't read and I can give it to a young person and they can extract a similar message from it. Yeah, it's not like... I mean, it's like, Michelle Obama's book. It's like, oh my gosh, she's fine. She's great. But like the language is so simple, right? But then you kind of move past that and you say like, what is the message that is trying to be here? And I think that's actually, it's great for marketing. It's a very important lesson that we're learning here because
it is a very important lesson.
Simple,
oh my gosh.
Okay? You have to get your message across and you have to put it in a way that resonates with people, that people can easily digest. Because if they can't digest your message, they're just gonna skim past it.
Okay.
Yeah, see?
And now things make sense because I tend to make things really complicated.
They don't need to be complicated.
So maybe that's why I don't love it. Yeah.
Maybe.
I definitely need to read it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder, Jameela.
No problem.
Okay. And one last thing that I want to know is what is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to talk about all the interesting things that we've spoken about today?
So if people want to get in touch with me online, they can find me at LinkedIn. They can type in my name, Jameela Ghann, JameelaGhann. And I also have a website, JameelaGhann.com. So you can find some of my posts there, and then you can send me a message, and I would be happy to work with you. So yeah, that's where you can find me online.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for all your time today. I love talking to you, and I really can't wait for having you again here.
Thanks for having me.
So yes. Oh. And so thank you everyone for listening, and see you next time.
Bye.
Ready for this episode's takeaways? Number 1, engage with customers. Actively interact with your target audience, whether online or in real life, to understand your audience's feelings and opinions about your brand. Number 2, social listening is almost free, so monitor competitors' ads and popular posts to gain insights into customers' sentiments and preferences, helping you refine your marketing strategy. And number 3, be authentic. Consistency and honesty in communication are essential as customers can easily spot authenticity. This was D2C Growth Mode, a 𝐀𝐻𝐈 original podcast. Subscribe to get the hottest takeaways from all of our original shows every 2 weeks in your inbox. Happy emailing!